Good evening, everyone. This is Avi Harkishan from ahcharts. Let's look at some of the important or key watch list stocks or tickers I'm looking at the moment. So let's start with VIX. So currently, VIX is at a support level. We broke down a little bit here, and now we are at a support level from back here. So this is a key level I'll be watching for whether or not we're going to continue to push higher and the market is going to retrace a little bit, or we're going to reject at this 1676 and continue to push lower towards 1462. Going into tomorrow, this will be where my eyes are going to be on at this level here, 1562, especially if you're trading zero DTAs and you're focused on the ETFs, SPY, QQQ, and IWM. You got to watch this level here on VIX because this is a key level over here going back all the way back here. Where you found some support and you bounce. So that will be the key level you're looking at here, which is 1562 as a support and 1676 support. Let's take a look at SPY. Overall, the market is still bullish. The market is still looking for upside, but it's extended at the moment. So technically, you can't see a pullback, but I wouldn't bet on any major pullback at the moment. Everything there's just so many names that have like amazing setups that could move the market higher. So just be careful if we have any pullback. Key level I will be looking for is this 749 level on SPY, a possible retest of this 749 level that we could see. So this here is a level I would be looking for on SPY to see whether or not we could get this a pullback here into this level. You would have to break 754 and a possible pullback down. So just watch out for that on QQQ. Same thing, we pretty much hit target. Any pullback, I'm looking for a retest of 722 on QQQ. Almost the same setup here on QQQ that you're seeing on SPY. So you're seeing this sort of broadening wedge pattern that's forming a rising wedge as well. Let's turn this off for a second. You're seeing that pattern forming. So if you start breaking down here, you could see a potential pullback as much as 722. Dips are being bought up a lot. So as I said, just be careful. You're better off buying the dips until dips are no longer being bought and you pull back further. So key level would be any retest of 736, which we found support today, and you bounced really hard at 736 and QQQ. So mark those level off your chart, 736 and QQQ. Any break below these levels, and you start filling these fair value gaps here, which is 731, all the way down back here. Let's take a look now at IWM. So IWM has filled a gap at 236. That's a level I've mentioned it on I think yesterday's analysis. So IWM has filled that gap. So what I'm looking for next, whether or not IWM is going to hold this level or not. If it fails to hold this level and you start rejecting this 286, then you have another gap here at 284. You can't see it there. So let's move down to the 4-hour chart. It's, I think, let me see. Is it the 4-hour? No, okay, it's a 2-hour. So if you move down to the 2-hour chart, you'll see it right here at 284. So that's the level I'd be looking for. You have this falling wedge. So I'll be looking whether or not IWM is going to hold 286. And you got to break above 290 and hold that as support to continue to push higher. If not, you continue to move your way down to 284 level here. So the key level going into tomorrow would be your range would be 286 and 290.85 that you're trading for IWM. The volume is showing buyers have stepped in at every time we make a move lower. So just be careful. You're seeing smaller red candles. So that is not any signs of distribution. Buyers are still in charge. So any move down below 286 watch for any rejection that come down here and fill this gap right over here. If not, you're going to watch for a break above 291. Otherwise, your range is just trading between this entire falling wedge and 286 to 290, 85 pretty much. Take a look at GDX. This is here is on my watch list. I'm just going to go over watch list basically. All right, so GDX is on my watch list, and the reason why every time GDX come down to this range, this market bias here on our indicator, it's been bouncing. And then you have this other major trend line here, but we're not going to look at that trend line at the moment. So we're going to look at the market bias line right here. Every time GDX come down here, it bounce. Key level over here, it's retesting, you bounce. This was a key resistance level you broke. Right here, you got rejected, you broke down. And you found support, came up, you found support, you break down slightly again. And you came back up in here, you're finding support, and now you're back at that same level again. So this is a level I'll be looking at. Technically speaking, you do have a symmetrical triangle here. So you broke slightly down from that symmetrical triangle back into this key range here that I'm looking at, but you're still finding support. So this could either go two ways here, and you're seeing some volume kick in, so you're seeing some support being formed. So two ways this could play out, and that is you find support here and you continue to push up. This would be a bullish case scenario for GDX. A bearish case scenario for GDX is that you broke down, and this is your retest right here, and you continue to break to the downside into the blue box. If this happens and you break to the downside into our blue box right over here, this is your buy zone. You're retesting that 66.98. So I'm not entirely sure yet, but GDX is something you don't really want to short. What I would like to see, because you still have this open gap here. So it's always possible for you to see price. Let's just remove this for a moment. It's always possible for you to see price come back up and test a gap for liquidity, and then it breaks down. Bearish case scenario, I don't want to see this gap gets closed. I want to see this gap is open and price reject that gap on a bearish case scenario. If these gaps get closed, it's very much possible, especially on very good volume, then I would expect some upside move to play out the bullish case scenario. So two scenarios here, and GDX is one I'm watching because I see there's a lot of potential for gold or GDX. So I'll be watching it because you are still testing a major key level here on gold, GLD, and GDX. So keep this one on your watch list. I'll be doing the same. So one reason why I'm not rushing into GDX is because on the 4-hour chart, there are some bearish flip on the 4-hour chart on the indicator. So you're seeing some bearish flip on the 4-hour chart. So I want to be careful with it overall. That's what I'm looking for. For software, pretty much you're still seeing if you're looking at, I'm looking at the weekly on software, and there's still signs, especially if you look at the monthly on software. Give me a sec. Okay, on IGV, this is the tech sector pretty much. If you're looking at a monthly, look at the support that's being formed, the volume price analysis. This here is just saying that there is more move coming in the software sector. So not a sector you really want to be shorting at the moment, because there are still more upside that could be coming in the software sector. Let's just off. So this here pretty much would be your range. So you could continue to see more push come into the software sector. So you continue to see this happen. So software sector, not a sector you want to be bearish on overall. So just be careful shorting. I think you want to look at decent pullbacks to go long, add to your long-term portfolio. I think the market is going to go higher. So just be careful trying to short things. So yeah, still see more upside here for software sector. Let's take a look at some of my watch lists for individual stocks now. Okay, first one I have is Apple on the list. So Apple did not have the best day. So Apple is currently rejecting, let me just remove this. Apple is currently rejecting this level over here. So what I'll be watching for is any move to the downside that could retest to 97 to 98. So this is the rising wedge that Apple is breaking down from. So what I would theoretically want to see, so this is where I have support for Apple, where I could see a bounce happening is a retest of this 298 level. However, what I would want to see from Apple is I would want to see something like this. If well, obviously you could push all the way down, but I would rather see some kind of test of this 308 area on low volume test and high volume rejection for a continued breakdown towards that level I just talked about, which is 298 level or so. So that's what I would be looking for Apple. So I'm currently short bias Apple at the moment, looking for a better entry setup on the hourly, and then obviously executing on the 5 and 15 minutes to see what's going on before execute, because when you're trading options, you're buying puts and so forth, your timing has to be perfect. If not, theta is going to kill the premium, and any move that happens is going to kill your premium as well. So this would be a key level I would be watching to see if we get any kind of retest of this 308 area and a break to the downside. So that's for Apple. Otherwise, you could continue. I have alert set at 303 if we're gonna touch this level and then come back up and go back. I have a level here 308 as well to see whether or not we're gonna trade between this level and reject and break down or not. Now over here in Apple as well, you have, this is where you broke down from right here as well. All right, you saw this setup here and you broke down. So that's one of the things I'm looking at as well. Overall, you're breaking below the rising wedge pattern. And so I'll be looking to see whether or not price is going to hold this 303 bounce retest, as I said. So this here is what I'm looking for, whether or not you're going to move down here, come back up, low volume retest, and then you're going to have a break down to this level. This is what I'll be looking for to get a better entry in puts right around this area here. Obviously, a surprise would be if you just continue to push all the way back up and you have a fake out. But that's what we're looking for. This would be a better entry in terms of shorting. So that's what we're looking for overall. So let's take a look at the other one that I have here is on my watch list is Amazon. So Amazon did not have the best day. So what I'd be looking for on Amazon is a bit more downside, but you have an open gap here at 266 to 269. As I mentioned earlier before, um, when it comes to option, you got to be very careful. Your timing has to be perfect. So what are we looking for in Amazon? This is a 2-hour chart. Is any kind of a retest of this gap. I don't want to see this gap gets closed. I want to see a rejection at this level for maybe another pullback to the downside. That's what I would be watching for in Amazon. You do have this here. So I'll be watching for this. If you start filling this gap over here and you hold this gap, very possible that Amazon starts to, instead of doing this, you start moving back up again. So again, you want to see how price is reacting at certain levels. So this is your key level here in Amazon, which is 266 to 269. Want to see how price is reacting to that level, because you could get a setup here where you retest and you have another push down that could offer you a little bit more short side trade on Amazon overall. But key level here of Amazon continue breakdown is this 251 level over here. You do have some gaps here, so For you to get to those gap, you have to break 251. But so far, in terms of an Elliott wave, I do have a wave one, two, three. This is considered to be four, and you have a one more push to the upside, five. Um, if not, somewhere along the way, this would be the fifth wave, and you would have an ABC pattern. This would be the fifth wave, and you have A, B, and you have a C wave. This would be your bearish case scenario playing out if this is the fifth wave. So I'm watching Amazon to see what happens. This would be where you come back down, and the market bias would continue to curve to the upside, where you're gonna find support. If this is the case, you start averaging in at this area here. But so far, I'm just watching one level at a time at this level here to see what price is going to do. So yes, this is what I'm watching to see whether or not we're gonna push back here, reject, and we're gonna break down and create a new low. Um, what I mean new low is come back down and test this level here and push up, or we're gonna break and continue to break the downside and fill these gaps here. So one level at a time. The other one that's on my watch list is Google. So Google is one that I posted recently that I said I think we're going to fill this gap. I still think we're going to fill this gap. So you had some news that hit in after hours post market with Google. I think they're raising about $80 billion. They're raising for AI infrastructure. Yes. So we had some negative price action for Google, which was charted, which was forecasted. So we were expecting that move to the downside, expecting that move here. So what I'm looking for at Google is a pullback to this level over here in the 4 hour, and then a bounce back to the upside. So this would be it. So I'm looking for to buy any kind of pullback within here. That's what I'm looking for. A more bearish case scenario is if this gap has been filled and we do what you call a WXY pattern, which is a WXY. Now, if you have a WXY pattern play out, nobody knows what the market is going to do. But if you have a WXY pattern that plays out, this is your buy zone here, 330. And if that happens, then Google would have corrected the move from over here, which is right at that 0.618 level. You would have corrected this entire move, and then you're going to start pushing to the upside. So we're watching key levels. The thing is that when you're adding stocks or these stocks to your watch list, is that you have to watch what price is doing at every level. You got to keep your eyes on it. Patience is something you have to develop over time. Um, Sometimes people may wait months for a great entry on a long-term position, anything like that. So Google is one where I'm not watching to take a option trade necessarily, but I'm watching to buy shares for either swing trading and also my long-term portfolio. Um, so the key level I'm watching here is a gap fill, and you could jump into this gap fill and see how price will react within this gap fill. Obviously, you could push lower as well over here to this 340, break the gap fill, and push lower. If this happens, then you're having an extended C wave, and then that's your buy zone there again. You're just adding to your portfolio shares for long term, because I do think Google is continue to move higher. So just make notes of these key levels. You guys have to be better at developing trade plans. I could give you as much charts that I can, analysis, and give you as much educational information as possible. But at the end of the day, you have to be is the traders that's more proactive, the traders that's taking the time to create trade plans based on these analysis, that implement these trade analysis, these trade plans that they have. Those are the ones that's going to become move on to become successful traders. Um, this is not really a handout where I just give you charts and I give you alerts. That's not what we do here in the Discord. I try to give you the best analysis possible and help you develop a trade plan based on these analysis. So I tell you what levels I'm looking at, what I think is going to happen, and where I'm willing to accumulate shares. So this is what I will be looking for. Any entry here if we get a fill at this level. If not, and you start coming down, then I'm looking for this entire key level here at 271, this move that happened on March 30th to get corrected. And that would be a wave two to the downside. And we continue push to the upside. This is a one, a two, and you continue to push to the upside. So this here would be where I would say my blue box pretty much should be. And you would just move up a bit here. Our market bias as price catch up with the market bias. So technically, that's my overall thoughts on Google. Either one of these scenarios will play out, whichever one you could start adding. When you're buying, you add at you have third wave, 7 wave, and you have 11 wave. 3 wave down, that's an ABC. A 7 wave down is a WXY, and a 11 wave down is when you have 2 WXYs. Don't think Google is gonna do that many wave down. So I'm looking for either this here to be corrected to this level here, and if that's the case, then I'm looking to buy over here. If now you have an ABC fill gap and you have a WXY to come back here, that's the buy zone right here. Buy here. If you want, you could trim your position on top here. That is up to you. That's about a 7% move. Trim your position, hold some, or decide what you want to do. Deleverage some of your risk, and you continue to add your position if we get in the move. If not, and continue to move to the upside, well, you took some profit and you kept some shares. So that's how I approach trading. This is how I'm going to approach Google as well. Let's take a look at Nvidia for a sec. That's also on my watch list. Let's see here. So Nvidia, let's go to daily chart. Okay. Nvidia came down, still pushing to the upside, came back, retest this previous all-time high, which is a support, a level I've had before. I did post it in the Discord that I expect this WXY, which is going to play out here, and then you're going to see a bounce somewhere after that WXY play out, which technically happened. I like the setup on Nvidia. The volume is pretty nice. You saw sellers try to step in here, and you have that inverted hammer pretty much at the bottom on increased volume. Looking like there's some absorption of that selling pressure. Buyers step in and observe that selling. So what I will be looking for next is you have a falling wedge here on Nvidia. So it happened back here. You got that breakout. And now same thing here, you broke out your retesting key level here, which you broke out from previous all-time high. So key level looking at here is 227 to 231 pretty much, which is up here. See whether or not I would like to see price move up here a little bit and then come back down and retest this level before moving higher. This would be where I'd expect where I'd expect to enter is somewhere in this level, this range over here. I want to see that push up, low volume rejection and retest of this level, and probably just jump in here and add to my portfolio long term because I do think that tech is going to continue to move up. We're still trending to the upside on the 4 hours on the daily, so I still think you could see more upside. Bearish case scenario will be a failed breakout, and obviously you dump. I don't think that's the likely case scenario. So overall, still strong on the hourly, on the daily, and on the weekly. So this is where whenever that happens, you are pretty much in dip buying modes. So I will continue to buy the dip and on Nvidia. So again, I want to see a rejection. The bullish case scenario is that you do not have rejection and Nvidia just pretty much blast off. That's a possibility, like it happened here. If not, you're going to get a small rejection, come back down, and if that's the case, I'm looking to possibly buy the dip shares, adding to my long-term portfolio. If you want to trade options, that is okay as well. If I decide to trade options, I will do so. But I'm looking mostly to either do leverage ETFs or just adding shares to my long-term portfolio and swing trading leverage ETFs instead of the options. Let's take a look at Tesla. Let's look at the daily. Let's just remove this for a moment. All right, so Tesla here, you had this move on Tesla, which has completed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave to the upside, WXY to the downside, which pretty much corrected this move from over here from April 7th all the way down. You have corrected that move. So now what I'm looking for, this was our sell zone right here, key level that I talked about in the Discord, where I expect some sort of rejection to happen, and you either come back down, retest this level, and you move back up. Now, this here is a bullish case scenario. A bearish case scenario, a more bearish case scenario, is that you come back lower and you retest somewhere within this range here. Somewhere between 382 to 367, you retest that level, and that would be correcting this entire move here, somewhere within 382 to 367. That's your first buy zone. So that is something I see that could take place. Now, I will be watching what Tesla does at this level here. The volume has increased on this breakdown. So I'll continue to watch Tesla to see what it does because it's breaking down from this channel over here. So you had a 1, 2, 3, 4, did not have a 5-wave move to the upside yet. If you break 391, then this move here is invalidated. The 5th wave is invalidated, and this becomes an ABC to the upside, and is very likely in a more bearish case scenario, which I'm going to talk to you about now. I'm not calling a bearish case scenario, but I'm just letting you know. A bearish case scenario would be another move to the downside, a WXY. Just remove this. And that would be from here, W, X, Y. Now, this here would be another bearish case scenario. Now, we are not calling this move here. So this would be something that could take place. And if it does, then our buy zone would be anywhere between here. Come back and test this level here. Let's just remove this. Now, this is where our buy zone will be, somewhere between this level here, over here. This is a bearish, like the bearish case scenario where we have like a 2WXY pulling back. I am not calling that yet, because that's not where we're looking at yet. However, I'm just letting you know that's a bearish case scenario going forward. But I'm looking for any kind of pullback to come back here and maybe retest. Maybe this is 381, 382 to 367. So under 1 hour going into tomorrow for Tesla, level I will be watching for in Tesla is you take your fib retracement tool from the top here to the bottom. Tesla is currently at the 618 level. So where I would expect a bounce to happen is probably somewhere within this level here. If you don't get a bounce at this level here, give me a second. If you don't get a bounce to this level here, somewhere around this 400. So anywhere between 413 to 400 area, 404, that's where I would expect some sort of reaction for Tesla going into tomorrow. So just keep an eye on this level over here where you can see probably Tesla come down, give some sort of reaction, come back up here tomorrow. So that's what I would be watching for. So you could take a screenshot of this, do what you wish to, but that's where I think you will likely see a bounce if you're looking along Tesla or anything, or play calls in Tesla, intraday trading Tesla, key level we're looking for is some sort of reaction within this level here. So let's look at another one that I have on my watch list. Okay, Netflix is another one I have here on my watch list. I'm looking for a bit more downside on Netflix to fill this gap here at $78. You're currently rejecting this gap. You fill this gap, and now you're rejecting this gap. You fill the gap from the because this is a gap we had from a gap up. You came down, and now you are at the bottom of this gap. So in the C wave, I think you can have another ABC play out in the C wave. So you have that B wave, A, B, C to the downside. So I think you could see that happen, and you could fill this gap. On a bullish case scenario is Netflix fill this gap, and it has corrected because you have a WXY here. Let's go to the weekly chart because you're still rejecting. You're still this monthly buy, daily bias, market bias. You're still rejecting. But now if that happens, you're gonna be breaking this trend line over here. Now on the weekly, you're still respecting the market bias in our indicator. So once you are above this level here, this is technically your buy zone. So how I plan to trade um, Netflix, it's a buy the dip opportunity. I'm looking for Netflix. You had pretty good volume coming in here, and you're seeing some pretty much not the lower volume to the lower volume and pullback. So I'm looking to buy the dip over here with a stop. So pretty much the way this trade I would look to play this trade is you get this gap fill. I have my stop just below this level here, and you continue to look at this. So pretty incredible risk to reward play how I would be looking at this trade. And the reason why my stop would be below this level here is because if you break this level here, this where you had the Y wave, WXY, this pullback over is $74. You could see this play out as well because now you're breaking that level down, and you could see another push to the downside here, which is our bearish case scenario. If that happens, then very likely you could retest this level here. At the moment, you are currently looking at this level over here, which you can see price pull back to as well. So got to keep all of that into consideration. So you can see a bigger pullback, or you can see price bounce to 64, come down to 64, and push back up or so. So two scenarios here to play out. So if you're playing Netflix, I'm going to see how to play Netflix. But technically speaking, if I play Netflix, very tight stop, and you have incredible risk to reward playing out here on Netflix. So that's how I would pretty much look at Netflix. For Hood, I'm currently long Hood at the moment. Been long Hood for about, I think like $80 a share on long Hood. Saw this setup here. Pretty nice setup. Technically, it refers to like an island bottom setup. So key level I'm looking at here for Hood is either so what happens, you came up, you have a gap over here. I'm looking for this gap to get filled. So on a bullish case scenario is I want to see Hood clear this gap, retest this gap, and continue to push higher. I think Hood is pretty bullish. The volume and everything seems bullish, but every bullish chart needs bullish follow through, as every bearish chart needs bearish follow through. If not, it invalidates. So I'm looking for Hood to do something like this and continue to push higher. What happens today is you came back down, you retested this retest level that we have here that I've had, and you came back up. So I'm looking to see a continuous push, but key level you got to clear is this $98 to $100 area. I'm looking for Hood to clear. If not, this is the key level here you're retesting. I think the setup is pretty solid. You pretty much have this kind of head and shoulder pattern look here, sort of. But this island bottom head and shoulder pattern, whatever the case is, seeing volume stepping in, and it looks pretty solid on my end. So I'm long hood. Bearish case scenario is this playing out, and I don't think that's the possibility for playing out. So yeah, currently long hood. Charts are flipping bullish in hood right now. You want to see a gap and clear. That's what I'm looking for. The other one I have on my watch list is so bullish on hood. Just to be clear, I have my watch list is Palantir. This is something we've been watching, and the Discord. Let's remove all of that. Just came down. You're respecting this is a 450 EMA. Sometimes you use it for major pullbacks or where price could see resistance. Palantir is having pretty much the same setup as Hood that you're seeing here. Same setup with Palantir. You got the island bottom playing out, that head and shoulder, inverse head and shoulder pattern playing out. So now key level I'll be watching for Hood. And then you have this falling wedge is this sell zone right here. And then you can see this play out here. Let me just remove this for a second. Clear the chart up a little bit. Let's remove this here as well. All right. So key level I would be watching for Palantir is this 165 level. Same thing, almost the same thing as Hood, where I'm watching for a clean break of this level over here. Let me just mark that off. Want to see a clean break of this level here. So I have that as sell zone, but you start breaking this level here and you're going to start pushing to the upside. And I think you're going to retest 140 at least and create all-time high again long term. So same setup for Hood, same setup for Palantir. Looking at you start clearing this level here and you break out, you're going to continue to push higher to the upside on Palantir and Hood. So that's what I'm watching right now. What I would like to see is if you get any kind of, which is why I have this one here, this path, is if you get any kind of a rejection at this level here and maybe a pullback, and you can get a push back to the upside. So you can see something like this as well in Palantir. So charts have flipped bullish on Palantir. Not recommending shorting Palantir. Just be very careful if you're shorting Palantir right now. The setup is looking pretty good for some upside. Obviously, it needs to follow through. It needs to play out. So I'm watching this with Palantir. Key level here is this 165. If I see any kind of rejection, a low volume pull back, I think it might be a pretty good buy. Palantir. So I'm looking at that. Other one I've been posting about is Broadcom. If you've been checking the Discord, had that on the watch list a couple days ago, I think last week as well. Our indicator gave us a buy entry right here, which is 424. It put out a buy entry, and let me see if I could find it here. It's somewhere in the Discord where I put it out. Give me a sec. Okay, here it is. On May 29th, I posted a Broadcom. I said I could be wrong, but AVGO, which is the ticker for Broadcom, is setting up as if it's about to have more upside. One RSI pivot has been broken. So I've posted, I think I've posted it before as well. I posted now. I can't remember, but maybe I did. I can't remember anyways. Yeah. So this is what I've been looking at. I said the setup looked pretty solid. Like as if you're about to break out here. I like that setup. I've seen it play out before. Setup I tend to take. Then I've been looking at this level over here, and I said it's so this is something that I like to pay attention to. I've seen this setup before, and in a bullish market, especially where you think of this like as an SOS and a Wyckoff accumulation. is that you moved up. You have like your SOS. You have price making higher highs, what kind of look like a bear flag, but it's not. And then you have RSI and MACD making lower lows, and you're like, ha, price is moving up in a bear flag. MACD and RSI is making lower lows. That's a bearish divergence. Could be quite tricky. So what I want to do in this case, I tend to go back and see in terms of Wyckoff and see the overall market is bullish. And this here is a pattern that I see play out. And what I was looking for is to see this divergence, bearish divergence be broken. And that's one of the things I've been looking for. And that has been broken. And I think AVGO is going to push higher. Um, let's move this back over. I think we're going to continue to push higher in AVGO. You have earnings coming out on Wednesday, June 3rd. So I still think we're going to push higher. The volume is there. You have the RSI, the bearish, quote, quote, RSI divergence have been broken. You're having MACD crossing. So bearish case is that you really have to maybe pull back. You could always see a pullback to retest this area and continue to push higher. So you could see that. Bearish case scenario would be if you start to do something like this. That would be more of like a bearish case scenario. Can it happen? Yeah, it could happen, but I'm not calling this yet because the setup it looks pretty solid, and you can continue to see push higher to the upside. That's the bearish case scenario, and with this case scenario, you could even come back and retest this level here. And that would be where you have like a ABC or WXY pattern, and you come back 7 swings lower, and you corrected this entire move here. This would be it. And you come back and you retest this entire move. If that happened, this is your buy. If not, you're going to continue to push higher on AVGO. So 2 paths for AGVO. And what I'm looking for to see how price is reacting with earnings. And I want to see a low volume pullback. If we get that, that does not break this level over here. If you get a retest, I want to see this level hold. If not, you could see this play out and you come back within this level here because this is a gap. 382 is a gap. You could fill this gap on a 3 swing lower, which is an ABC. Could form. And you could pretty much be building out a what you call a head and shoulder pattern pretty much. So this here would be a bearish case scenario where you come and you have a head and shoulder pattern forming and you come back. So, and you have either 3 swings lower, fill the gap, or you have a 7 swing lower that come back and retest this breakout. If that happens, this is your buy in AVGO. So you never know what a stock is going to do. You'll have to be prepared for every scenario. So let's just remove these. All right. So very likely you could continue to push higher. Still think it's possible for you to push higher, but if bearish case scenario, this is your pullback here. 3 swings, either the gap and push higher, or 7 swings lower, push higher. If it comes back here, definitely that's your buy zone AVGO. Let's take another one here. Let's see what else. All right, I'm watching Sophie. Kind of bullish in Sophie at the moment. Sophie, we're in this range, came down into the blue box, which I've been watching, and I said this here is where you tend to buy. Your exit is going to be 1263. Theoretically speaking, I wanted to see a little bit more downside on Sophie, maybe around this $13 area. This would have given a better risk to reward ratio on a trade. But you have an ABC to the downside, and you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. After you have those, you tend to see an ABC, you tend to see an upside, especially if you're trading at the bottom part of that range. And you're in this range, at the bottom part of that range, and you're finding some support. You're seeing volume stepping in the weekly. And I think you could see a break to the upside on SoFi. And in terms of the market bias, you're still finding support on our market bias indicator right here. So when price come down too far from the market bias and you have a deviation is too far, you could see price bounce. So you're seeing that double bottom forming. Pretty much the same, almost the same setup as Hood and Palantir that we looked at earlier. Almost the same setup you're having on Palantir and Hood. So you want to see a key level here is this area. This here is a key area to watch for a break. You obviously have the market bias, which you have to fight. So if you break here, you could always come up and reject this market bias. You still have some resistance above here, but I think it's a pretty clean looking chart. What is concerning in this one here is that you see some volume over here, a doji. So you could always see, so a push up and a come back down here because you do have a gap. If you see this and I see low volume pullback, I'm gonna consider jumping into this because you could always see a pullback, retest, fill this gap, and then you do the real push to the upside. This would be something that I would theoretically I would prefer to see. If I see this, this would give a better risk to reward trade to the upside. So this is what I would want to see, something like this on SoFi. The other one that I'm looking at is Irene. Where is Irene? There it is. I think Irene is setting up as well for possible upside. You have a rising wedge. You're trading above the market bias. It's almost the same setup as Hood and Palantir and SoFi. Difference here with Irene is that whereas Hood is more like a flat in a box, Irene is like in a slope to the upside and like some kind of range to the upside. So almost the same thing here. So key level for Irene is this $76. I think if you break $76, you could push to the upside. But look at the volume, still look pretty good. Still expect this move. You can see this move play out, and the target would be somewhere around $95 to $100 for now. And you retest. I want to see possibly retest and push higher in Irene. So pretty solid setup overall on Irene as well. Got to see it play out. See if I have. I think I have. So I went over all of them. Microsoft. I think now is one of them I talked about. Yeah. So now is one of them. Pretty decent setup as well. Our indicator sent out a signal here for buy, but obviously it sent out one here. But whenever there's a signal that is too close to the market bias, when price is trading below the market bias and all the ribbons are crossing, you kind of ignore those. So you got to use your intuition here as well, your common sense. No signal is perfect, but when it's too far away, you have this deviation from our market bias and our EMAs and so forth or other ribbons, then it makes more sense to jump into that trade. And this is where the signal will hit, and you have that kind of like island bottom forming as well. And then you're going to push up. So same pretty much, you're seeing the same setup forming on Hood. You're seeing it on Palantir. You're seeing it on SoFi. You're seeing it on Irene. So it's almost the same setup throughout. You're seeing those setup forms. So I hope you're paying attention. You're making notes of these setup as you're looking at charts as well. So you can see we're having a 1, 2, 3 wave move to the upside already. There's 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5. So I think you're going to push higher with now. Whether or not I want to jump into now, I don't think so. But I would like to see this gap gets filled. I like to see price come back down. and fill this gap. So you continue to push higher. And I want to see price come back down and fill this gap over here. This would give a better trade, or at least come back down to this area over here as support. This would be a better entry right over here. So, yeah, moved quite a bit. Let's see, anything else I missed? Okay, let's take a look at last one. Let's take a look at AMC. All right, let's take a look at AMC. So I had a blue box in AMC right here. I called the bottom at, I said AMC is going to come down to below. I think I had targeted up to 88 cents. Didn't really come down to 88 cents. I was a few cents short. But now you're starting to break this key level here, our market bias. So I want to see AMC. Give me a second here. Let me just change this. Refresh. All right, yes, I kind of updated the charts earlier. So far, all the indicators are bullish in AMC. So I think you could see this play out here. Let's just remove this for a moment. So we bottom here, we've done an ABC to the downside. If you do your level here, I think you can see in terms of an Elliott wave, you have your wave 1, your wave 2, your wave 3 somewhere here, 4, and you can see a 5 breakout. Get everybody excited, and then you have that pullback, that retest. This is pretty much what you call a break retest, pullback. So you could probably see this play out, and then you have your ABC that pulls back and retest key level. So I still think we could see price move anywhere between 256 or 286 to this $4 area. Still possible. On a what I'm looking for is a 5-wave move to the upside in AMC, not a 3-wave move. 3-wave move. I want to see that 5-wave move to the upside in AMC. So this is something I would be watching. Major level here for AMC is to get back above this level here, which is this 260 something. Want to see price come back up above here and find support. Gotta get back up above this range here. If not, you could continue to push again back down here. So I want to see us back in this range and break out of this range, obviously. So yeah, we can see this play out. Let me see if there's anything else I miss. All right, CRWV. Stuck with this one here. Pretty decent setup. Seeing indicators are forming bullish patterns here. Showing some bullishness. So what you can see, I like the setup overall. You're seeing a awesome bottom forming, and I think this one here have a decent chance of moving to the upside. So now you have a head and shoulder form here, broke down, head and shoulder form here, broke down, head and shoulder form here, did not break down, fail to break. Whenever you have a bearish pattern that's failing to break to the downside, that invalidation could lead to a pretty much a very quick reversal to the other side. So in terms of this, and you're seeing the indicators flipping bullish pretty much. So this failed to break to the downside. So I'm just going to remove this for a moment. So because of this, you still have an open gap here that I would be watching. Doesn't necessarily have to get filled, but I am still watching this gap. But overall, still think you could get a this is a pretty decent setup where, if anything, you could always come back, retest, fill this gap, and that's when you got your push. Still watching this. Want to see this gap gets filled, but necessarily it doesn't necessarily have to get filled. You could continue to push to the upside. If you pay attention to this, you have MACD curving up. Look at the volume stepping in. That is no lie. Everything has flipped bullish right now. So because of that, the setup is looking pretty decent. So I would be paying attention to this because you can see a breakout here overall. And if that happens, then you can see a pretty big move to the upside that will take you to $203. So this is what I'm looking at as well. It's on my watch list for bullish setup. I want to see the move play out. So this is, sorry for the long video. These are all the tickers I'm currently watching. That is on my watch list. So keep an eye, make notes, see whichever one you want to add to your watch list. Have a trade plan. You guys are not kids. Please have a trade plan. Manage your risk really well and take a position in whichever one that you feel more comfortable in. Thank you for watching. It's about an hour now. Hopefully you enjoyed the video if you watched it. Take care and speak to you guys later. Bye.